You know, when I first learned to play guitar, I was sort of taught by one of my first teachers that you had your hands, your thumb back on the back of the neck, and you always use alternate picking, and you didn't anchor your hand. That's the exact opposite of the way I approach it now. And so for me, I like to have my left hand in a position like this where my thumb is just over the strings. It gives me the opportunity to really have strength for bends. It allows me to play notes, bass notes with my thumb, and also to mute the strings above the sixth string. It gives me the chance to play with authority and conviction. It increases the dynamic range, because a lot of things I notice in beginning, even intermediate guitar players, is they play with one dynamic all the time. And I'm not suggesting that you should play aggressive and authoritatively all the time, but if you are able to widen your dynamic range to where your loud notes are fairly loud, and then your quiet notes, if you have a wider spectrum of dynamics, it makes your playing much more interesting. So my left hand it's just anchored here in such a way to give me a chance to set me up to play with authority. My right hand, as opposed to the way that I was originally taught, where you don't lay it down and you pick right here, I almost always have resting on the bridge. And I use my pinky finger to sort of give me a sense of place, if you will, so I know where I am. But with my right hand on the bridge, I can always mute whenever I want. And when I was about 19 years old, I met Billy Gibbons for the first time. He told me that he always had his volume control on 10, and he did that. He kept his heel on the strings, and he kind of used his heel to control the volume. I don't do that. I still use my volume knob quite a bit. But so this position of strength and sort of really focusing, I'm going to play guitar now, being centered, is really key to me, and it kind of cuts through all the technical stuff that we're going to talk about later. I'll break all these techniques down that I sort of mentioned, but if you're someone who's never played guitar, if you put your hands in this position and play one note, and concentrate on that one note and make it sound juicy, groovy, whatever, and by that I mean just play one note and try to make it really feel good. Play the note and add a little vibrato to it, and before you get into practicing scales or anything else, just have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish. I think we all want to be more expressive as players. So just this idea of one note, I mean, take a page out of Albert King's book. He oftentimes 2 or 3 notes that he would just milk forever, and it's the most powerful, emotive playing you'll ever hear. So do that. Just pick a note anywhere. I like the middle of the neck just to start out, and do that until you feel you'll build up strength in your hand. You'll get a sense of vibrato. You can play it up here if you want. And the thing for me that's so important is that I feel like probably at least 80% of the tone that I get is in my hands. How I put my hands on the strings, how I strike the strings, whether I use my fingers or a pick, the string pressure, the pressure of my left hand, which will affect the tone as well. All those things are, the tone being in your hands is something that is often overlooked, I think, and people think that if I just buy the right pedal or the right amp or the right guitar, that's all I need. But truly, if if I play my guitar for you acoustically, not plugged in, you will hear the exact same tone acoustically that you hear coming through the amplifier. So remember that your tone is in your hands. So this idea of being centered, just concentrating on one or two notes. Practice striking the string with different pressures, different spots through here, and see, just experiment and become more familiar with what that does. And I think that alone, without really being a technical idea, will take your playing to another level.